Somehow, ESPN has bullied every single coach in college football to do their bidding. Kind of wild. So I had to get the squad together.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
We got the squad together in the SEC Squad Show. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use your code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. We've got Corey over there, Locked On Vandy. We got Brandon for Locked On Gators, Jimmy, Locked On Bama, and Steven over there on Locked On Ole Miss. Got a lot of great things to talk about. We're going to talk about private equity trying to find its way into the SEC, but it's not private equity, but it is.
No, but it is.
But it's not.
But it is.
But it is. But it's not. Early battles to watch as fall camp is starting to go down. But first, everybody's favorite subject is polls and preseason polls, and how a lot of us believe a lot of them are useless because they're preseason polls. And why are we doing preseason polls? Why? Because we need content, things to talk about. So we're going to talk about it. Coaches poll dropped. You have all of this beauty right in front of you. These are your top 25 teams right now. The SEC has 8 in there, starting with Georgia and then Texas. Of course, Texas at 3 and 4, A&M at 8, Oklahoma at 9, Ole Miss at 10, Bama 11, LSU 13, Vols at 18, and then Missouri at 25. Pass it around. Does it seem ridiculous that the coaches got punked by ESPN to put so many SEC teams in the top 25?
I'm here for
it. Sign me up. But no, how you guys feel about that top 25 setup right now?
I was mostly surprised that there was no group of 6 team in there. That was like the biggest thing to me. Not a single group of 6. They weren't like, hey, Boise State, let's just give you a little bump. Nothing.
Yeah, because last year they did have one, didn't they? And they fell like literally. Was it Boise that fell out like immediately after being ranked? Fair point,
yeah, I think Tulane was pretty well in there too. I'm surprised at Tennessee. I know that we make the joke about that, but Tennessee hasn't even picked a quarterback yet. So that one's kind of interesting. I like that Mizzou made it in because I do think Mizzou is the most disrespected team in the SEC right now. For some reason, they think they're going to automatically be bad, and under Eli Drinkwitz, they just haven't been, no matter what the situation. So that right there, and I think Texas A&M is a little high too.
I'm surprised Clemson is ranked, and I'm not anti-Dabo, anti what Clemson's accomplished over the years, but if this is a ranking based on recent history, why would they be 23? Is this a ranking based on are they going to be better? I don't know. The odds say I believe Clemson's 4th in that league, even behind Louisville, who's not ranked. So I'm just a little surprised Clemson was ranked, but when you're talking, the 23rd team, I wouldn't say there's anything on here that's super controversial. And I would defend every SEC team that's ranked. In fact, if we remove Clemson, I would add another. Vanderbilt's 10-2 a year ago, and Clemson's 23. So, but I don't have a huge qualm with anything up there. Maybe Indiana at 6, coming off a national championship year. Yeah. Maybe they should be a couple spots higher.
The funny thing is they got the most first place votes other than Ohio State and still finished at 6.
So some voters are putting them well. So that means some voters are putting them well back, which doesn't seem right at all.
There's some idiots that are putting them really low. And look, I know that this is the coaches poll. People making a lot of money. People that know a lot more about football than many of us will ever. Or than any of us will ever know. They've forgotten. You gotta be just a complete moron to have this opinion of Indiana that I think is mostly right now people just going, well, it's not Mendoza. They're not going to do it again, right? And it's like I feel like that's kind of
that's what they said last year.
Yeah, Curtis Rourke was gone.
They don't play anybody until mid-October.
which is very much fair. I think the fascinating thing with Indiana is that they have been so historically and laughably awful that we just can't fathom the fact that they actually won a national championship. Like, we're still trying to figure out, did that really happen? Was that a dream? Is it legitimate? Because, look, as much as people bag on Cignetti and how cocky he's gotten, he's taking the worst team to a national championship. Ain't nobody else doing that. That dude can talk as much smack as he wants to until he dies at this point, because it's like, you actually took Indiana to an undefeated season. That's if Will Stein takes Kentucky to a national championship, I'd feel the exact same way.
That's why they got a first place vote in the SEC media days, because the person making a flyer on just that. Actually,
it's not just that Indiana won the national championship, guys. That's shocking enough. What if I said, okay, Oregon won the national championship, which wouldn't be that shocking, but they did it with 20 or 21 of their 22 starters were 3-star prospects or less out of high school. I mean, Indiana's national championship win was shocking on multiple levels. Not just that it's Indiana, but they did it with basically all 3-star prospects out of high school that developed over time, and then they became, really good 23-year-olds, frankly.
Yeah, but to be fair, they were the class of 2012 coming out of high school.
I mean, that is a very fair point. But they also won back-to-back 10-plus win seasons. It's never before ever happened, and this dude figured out how to do it. It's just wild to me. But in looking at all of this, we all know that this does not last very long for teams in college football. Usually 2 teams in the top 10 fall out. This isn't the AP, but in the coaches, they usually are pretty close, right? 2 teams will fall out of all of top 25. Who do y'all think that's going to be?
Out of the top 25 or just the top 10?
Top 10. There's always 2 top 10 teams fall out every year.
I'm not saying it's happening, but I am saying that I think Texas A&M is like my team that jumps out to me in that top 10, where I'm like, if they weren't in the top 25 at the end of it, I wouldn't be super shocked. I was going to mention when we talked about Indiana, keeping both of his coordinators if they're winning a national championship and back-to-back 10-win seasons is incredible. Texas A&M is replacing both of their coordinators. Like, I know Mike Elko is still the brainstem of that defense, but that is a lot, and you're replacing some dudes all over the field. And so I think that for me, if I'm looking at the top 10 and you're going to say, hey, 2 of these teams are not going to be here, Texas A&M is the team that I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, you're probably the most likely one.
I think if Darian Mensah is not a dude. Now, the schedule in the ACC is one thing that they do have the talent to survive that. But if for some reason he's not what we expect him to be at Miami, there could be an upset or 2 early, and they just can't get back into the situation.
The top 5 all return their starting quarterbacks. 8, 9, and 10 return their starting quarterbacks. 6 and 7 have highly promising quarterbacks that came from somewhere else. So 6 and 7 stand out to me as like, well, we'll see. But I'm a big believer in Mensah, and I'm not saying I'm not a believer in Hoover, but it is not a coincidence that you have so many starting quarterbacks returning, 1 through 10. But you're right. I mean, history says 2 or 3 of these teams will not even finish ranked.
Yeah, I wanted to say Miami, but they have 1 ranked opponent.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a fair one.
I mean, who are they going to lose? Who are they going to lose to? That Chad Powers, Georgia, what do they call them? South Georgia or whatever that team Chad Powers plays for. I mean, who are they going to lose to? Yeah, who are they losing to?
That's a good one. One that jumps out to me too also is Oregon, similar to A&M, replacing both their coordinators and coordinators that were there for the last few years, especially underneath the Dan Lanning era. This is his first time having to replace his guys. How does that work for him? Elko has been a head coach he's at Duke, and I think he lost a coach there. And then when he came back to A&M, and now he's lost both. So he's kind of been in this situation, and he's probably a little prepared. I don't like him elevating the internal guy that's never called plays before to be the one that Marcel Reed is taking play calls from. That's not something I'm comfortable with, but whatevs. Elko on defense, I'm not that concerned about as much. Oregon, though? New OC. Dante Moore's still good, but this is his first time.
New OC, new DC.
Yeah, this is the first time for him. So how does that look? Because that's usually the biggest challenges for especially new coaches is the first time you have to replace people. It usually does not go well.
And what happens with now? I'm not saying they're going to be one of the teams that fall out of the top 10, but what happens if Texas loses to Ohio State? What is the reverb that comes off of that? Can they bounce back quickly? Because they don't have the easiest schedule to begin with. And this is a year that they're completely all in with a Manning at quarterback and talent all over the place. If it goes bad, it could A-bomb in Austin.
Yeah, Ohio State plays 2, 4, and 6.
Yeah.
They're going to beat all those teams?
Yeah, and to even add to that, they just added a new defensive coordinator who hasn't called plays in, 2 years? Corey's over there now, the defensive coordinator. So, like, what are we going to do with this, Corey?
Well, I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna dominate.
Boom.
But no, that is an interesting question for them. It's how fast can that defense pick up the scheme in game situations when you're playing against a offense that should be better. Now, granted, Matt Patricia's the one calling things over there in Ohio State, so I'm kind of curious that's still weird to me that he
and Arthur Smith, OC.
Yeah,
actually,
I think so.
Actually, Ohio State's out. Arthur Smith is their offense coordinator. Ohio State's out. Never mind. We got it, boys. Pack it in. Just pack the season up. We got it. It's Ohio State and it's Texas A&M. Easy money.
Oh wow, that is actually a good one there. Okay, so if you had to pick 2 of the 8 SEC teams that you think will fall out of the top 25 and stay out of the top 25, who would you go with?
Ooh.
I'd pick Tennessee, Missouri.
SEC teams?
Yeah, Tennessee and Missouri.
I know that this seems like low-hanging fruit, but yeah, I'd pick Tennessee,
low-hanging fruit. It really is. I'm kind of with you though, Brandon. I'm A&M. I have a lot of questions there. They could be one. Tennessee, you still don't know who your quarterback is. I think it could be those 2, unfortunately. The defense is still questionable. It's going to be Jim Knowles' first season there, so it's going to take him a year to get everything together. This could be a 8-4, 7-5 stinky season. Do they try to get rid of Heupel right after that, or do they let him and Knowles get a full year together before they start moving people on?
And also LSU could be 1-3 at the end of September, like legitimately.
Yeah,
if they drop that game to Clemson, they go to Ole Miss and they have to play Texas A&M, who beat them by 30-something points or something like that a year ago. So
that is another one.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting. And the next running quarterback that Blake Baker stops will be his first.
9 SEC teams on this list, and no Florida, no Auburn, no South Carolina, and you can make a case for all 3.
Hey, we were 27th, okay?
Okay, so there we go.
Florida's right there.
27th. If you just extended the list a little bit, we're right there. Just a
they
tiny
didn't receive
bit,
votes.
we're right there.
That is a very fair point.
If you put it at 30, Vanderbilt was there.
If Florida played at Houston, I bet they'd be favored, and Houston's in and Florida's out.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, didn't Auburn also get some votes too?
Yep.
They should. Auburn might be a favorite over a couple teams on there.
Yeah. Well,
Auburn was, I think, 34th. South Carolina, I think, was 33rd. Florida State was 40th, if anybody was curious about that one. Just I'll kick them while they're down. I don't care. I got no problem.
In state, you got to. You have to.
I'll kick them while they're down. I don't care.
When it comes to a rivalry. Okay, well, fall camp has begun for just about everybody in the country. If not, by the time you've seen this, everyone should be. So we're going to go around the horn and see what each team's got going on. Battles to watch, all of that stuff. So the squad will talk about that here coming up in a minute. And of course, this is presented by our partners over at Game Time. There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part usually isn't deciding what you want to attend, it's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, and surprise fees, buying tickets can sometimes feel harder than it should. That's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. The app is built to make buying tickets very, very simple with upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, exclusive savings, opportunities that help you get to the event you want to without the usual hassle. I actually used it when I went to the Oklahoma-Alabama game because the tickets for the season ticket holders wasn't all that great. I went on Game Time to see if anybody was giving them up. Got lucky, got some great seats. I got to see where I was going to sit. I got my aisle seat so I can go ahead and stand up and scream and, be prepared just in case, if Oklahoma did well. And they did well in that game, so I got lucky, but no one did attack me. So, but getting that aisle seat was critical for me, just in case if I needed to run. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And thanks for joining us on the Locked On SEC Squad Show. We've got some more fun stuff to talk about. Fall camp is here. For some, this is the official start of college football because for us it is because we're covering the team. So now we actually have football-ish stuff to talk about. You know, you've got position battles and all of that. What is something each of you are looking for with your team going into fall camp?
Well, for Vanderbilt, I would like to see them make a decision at the quarterback position. They haven't named a starter. It's not officially Jared Curtis yet. We all know what direction it's going probably, but it's not official yet, which means that Blaise Berlowitz still has a chance. And so we'll see what Clark Lee does there. I'm not sure, but it is day one, and it's going to be quite the journey to figure out who the quarterback is and to figure out what this offensive identity is going to be for Vanderbilt.
Is it legitimate opportunity, though, for that quarterback to not be Curtis?
From everything I'm hearing, it is legitimate.
Okay.
From everything I'm hearing, it is a legitimate chance.
It's just all up until the point that Jared Curtis eats the mushroom and becomes the expanded Diego Pavia.
Exactly. So, reading the reports and stuff from practice, you would read them and the reporters would be like, yeah, he made a few throws that made us all elbow each other and say, wow, like that kind of stuff is happening. So
Okay.
it's only a matter of time. I think it's not if, it's when, but what I'm hearing, it is a legitimate chance for Blaise Berlowitz. What percentage that is a different story, but who knows?
Funny enough, we have 3 people on here with teams that actually have quarterback battles. Brandon, what are we looking at there? Not only quarterback battle, but any other battles you think that's going to be interesting for Florida here
We got
in
a
fall camp?
whole lot. I know everybody's talking about quarterback, but Lord, I need an offensive line to be put together as quick as possible, please. I just want to throw that out there, whoever it is. Buster Faulkner, Phil Troutwine, if anybody has any close ties to either of those people and wants to say, hey, Brandon Olson wants to tell you that we need an offensive line put together, we could do that, especially again if anybody knows Buster Faulkner personally, that'd be huge. Just saying, if anybody knows Buster and wants to say, hey, Brandon Olson needs a line, put one together. But it's Aaron Philo and Jamal
I don't know
Jones
who
right
that
now.
would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm speaking into the void here. Things.
Why would Will Muschamp know Buster Faulkner?
Yeah, seriously.
Doesn't make any sense.
Coaching conventions? You know how it goes.
Coaching conventions.
But I think right now, I think it's going to be Aaron Philo. Do I want it to be Aaron Philo? He wouldn't be my choice, but frankly, my stance is that we've seen these guys throw 130 passes in their college careers. It's really tough for me to feel like I know what I have in either one. And that's kind of where I'm like, look, I'd prefer Tramel Jones, but I can't really tell you, hey, I know what I've got in either of them. So it's just tough for me to be really mad. I will just say I'm not super confident no matter who it is. I prefer Tramel Jones. If it is Tramel Jones, I'm still not going to be super confident in him. I'm looking at offensive line, quarterback, the most important spots. It's also one of the reasons where I look at this Florida team and I'm not as much as I want to buy in. And I want to just go, screw it, playoffs right here. I can't when I'm going, who's the quarterback? I don't know. Is it going to be good? I don't know. Same thing with offensive tackle. I just can't do it. I want to, but those are glaring question marks to me heading into fall camp.
Yeah, going into fall camp, we've got some. Yeah, it's very interesting with both of those. And Jimmy, you've got either the grown up or the young pup that's going to be potentially taking over at quarterback there. What is it looking like there at Alabama, and what other positions battles that you're really paying attention to?
Yeah, all eyes on the quarterback spot for sure. But from the staff, I believe they're comfortable with either guy. I think they're comfortable with Keelan Russell. I think they're comfortable with Austin Mack. I think for Alabama, the real questions are the offensive line and at running back. They've got to build a running game regardless of whether it's Keelan or Austin. I think there's more confidence in both quarterbacks than there is in the offensive line and the running back room, really. So I think the offensive line, several transfers, competing for spots, a couple of young guys. They feel it might be better. A new offensive line coach, a new tight end coach that was an offensive line coach at Louisville a year ago. There's obviously a lot of emphasis on the physicality and the run game part. I think for Alabama, the real focus is on those groups. Hopefully a quarterback separates from the other. But I think there's real confidence in the staff for both quarterbacks, whether it's the older guy, Austin Mack, or the younger guy, Keelan Russell. I think it will be Keelan eventually, but I won't be surprised if we go even into the first couple of games with both of those guys playing.
That's a good one there. And Steven, you got your quarterback. Y'all good. You got your running back. You're good. I guess the big question for you all is not only some in the offensive line, but that wide receiver room. That it's been some changes there. What's the battle you paying attention to the most?
Yeah, everybody's going to talk about the offensive line and the wide receiver and that stuff. But the thing that I'm interested in is the actual defensive back room for Ole Miss. Whenever you had Lane Kiffin, you were forced to shop on the back end of your defense, a great value, try and figure that out. One of the safeties that Ole Miss had a year ago was 5'10", 180 pounds. Now, he tried really hard and he did really well, but size, speed, that's not what you're going to count on. And they ended up losing that semifinal game to Miami because of a busted coverage and a missed tackle in the secondary. And so Pete Golding went out to try to fix that. He got a safety from Georgia and Janelle Aguero. He got Edwin Joseph from Florida State, Sharif Denson from Florida, Jay Crawford from Auburn. That unit right there, they are hoping can make the plays that last year could not be made. And it starts with in spring practice or fall camp with what's going on and trying to figure out how to make that work going forward.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Oklahoma's kind of interesting. The biggest thing for them is still the conversation of wide receiver. They bring back a lot of offensive linemen, which is good, but wide receiver seems to be where the battle's at. Trell Harris transfers in from Virginia. Parker Livingston transfers in from Texas, and Texas fans will tell you that he sucks because they were really mad that Arch Manning's roommate left him, even though Sark told everybody that they basically kicked all of them out so they can get Cam Coleman. I don't know why you would blame the guy for going to his second team on his list when he was a recruit because he got kicked out because everybody wanted Cam Coleman. But for Oklahoma, that's really it. It's really who is Mateer going to throw the ball to? Luckily, similar to Ole Miss, we got a returning quarterback, and if he's healthy, should have a solid season. And the defense itself is all players that have been recruited by Brent Venables and staff, especially the starters. Probably the first time this has happened since he's been here in his tenure, in which makes him a little bit better than last year, but we'll see if they execute at the same clip. I don't know, but I do know that I'm very intrigued at what that wide receiver rotation is going to look like going forward. Speaking of rotations, the LSU Tigers took
Tigers.
Private equity money, but it's not private equity money.
It's not.
I got to get y'all's answers on this one here on the Squad Show.
But it is. But it's not.
All right, thank you all for tuning in for the Squad Show. Brandon Olson jumps out because he's in another country right now, but we got a good conversation to have, gents. I am very intrigued by LSU's moves. Now, it's not private equity, but they're doing like a venture capital thing where they're going to like invest money or something. I know our own Locked On LSU, Matt Moscona, had some people in to talk about it. That was actually at the governor's mansion at the closed door meeting or whatnot. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really understand what exactly they're doing.
Yeah, they sold 10% of their athletic department for $100 million is what they're doing. And they're going to pay it back off of their media rights and profits that comes in. You may not call that private equity, but that's private equity. I mean, you may, whatever's going on, it's performing the same way. But here's the thing. This is the reason they're doing this. It's a spin thing. Because at the end of the day, if you say private equity, it gets people upset and people get really nervous about that. So how do you have private equity without having private equity? And that's what LSU is doing right now. Listen, if it's not private equity, if they're telling the truth, every single time when there's a scheme to make money in a hurry off of fundraising off of people, somebody goes to prison for it eventually. So I do not think that's happening. I do think it's private equity.
I'm not sure these programs over the years, athletic departments across the SEC, across the country, I'm not sure athletic departments have been, I don't know, fiscally sound. This is why we're doing things like paying ex-coaches tens of millions of dollars and then not having enough money to, put your tennis team on the court. I think whenever we're talking about private equity being introduced into college football or university athletics, everyone has a great deal of pause, because we're not talking about a group that has proven itself to be, Fortune 500 companies, Wall Street level in terms of how they are financially sound in running what they have. And I think it makes everyone extremely nervous. I get that. But I also think, like Steven said, there's many, many forms to what LSU is doing. Some of them will be sound, but somewhere along the way, someone's going to do something really dumb. Doesn't that sound like college football? Someone's going to do something really dumb that's going to backfire spectacularly. I think we all hope it's not our guy that does that, but just close your eyes and hope it's not.
I think we all know who we think's going to do the dumb thing. Just want to throw that out there.
I mean, that's a very fair point.
A lot of people are looking one specific direction and going, "Oh, probably you."
Yeah, I mean, but they're no longer on social media, so I guess that should help all of that, right? But
actually the dog's tweeting now, so I don't know that he's off of social media.
That
completely.
is very terrifying in that point. But it sounds like this deal. This is what the LSU and the governor and all them are saying. The idea that there's a private equity deal inked is unequivocally false, and they're not interested in traditional private equity. But what they're saying is it allows for them to create an LLC. That way they can control it and invest in companies that will generate revenue perpetually. How exactly does that work? And that's me just being legitimate. And LSU fans, don't be mad at me. I'm for real trying to understand. How does that work? Like,
it's either multi-tiered marketing or a Ponzi scheme. One or the other. Take your pick.
Because can the school even give away 10% to a private equity? Like, it doesn't sound like that's something they can actually even get into.
I'm looking forward to Tiger Stadium having to be sold for scrap metal in certain parts to fulfill the contract.
Steven, I feel like you have a personal vendetta here.
No, I am actually very happy, because if Lane Kiffin was still at Ole Miss would be doing this right now.
It's a very fair point.
And not LSU. So I am glad that I get to judge from afar instead of defend the indefensible. So
that's right. Not your Tiger, not your circus. That's the approach to take.
Yeah, that's true. So they will transfer 10% of football program value to a private equity firm in exchange for cash, but it's not private equity. But it's not private equity, and they're going to retain a call option after 5 years to reclaim the 10% stake. The investor says LSU will almost certainly exercise that call if the football program performs as expected under Kiffin. And the minimum investment threshold for investing was $100,000, targeting affluent LSU supporters willing to bet on the program's growth and success. We know that the TV deal is going to be pretty big when the next one comes up. That's in what, 4 or 5 years from now is the next TV deal? Because I know the Big Ten is after. So once that happens, it's going to be another massive multi-billion-dollar deal, and everybody's going to make a whole bunch more money off of that and then still complain that they don't have any money. But will LSU be able to leverage that, I guess, to pay them back and not still be in this anymore? It's such a weird structure. It doesn't make any sense.
To be real, the university's $30 million in the hole and just laid off a bunch of their finance staff of what's going on. The money they're putting stuff on the credit card right now. Everybody wants to talk about Lane Kiffin's $50 million roster, but you don't do that and lay off your whole finance staff because you're $30 million in debt, because you're flush with it, and you don't have a deal like this because you're just rolling in money. I think you need to be real about it. You're not doing this because you're healthy, is my point.
Yeah.
It's interesting that rumors, of course, we're still rumored to have the most expensive roster in the league, and they're the ones that need an influx of cash. I'm sure it's a huge coincidence. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not something that would happen there. Look, I don't know their finances. I'm not going to even get into that, but it does suck they have to lay off people, and then we talk about their $40 to $50 million roster or whatnot. But do you think any other teams in the SEC will actually make a move similar to this?
This feels like something Kentucky would do. Not for football though, but it does feel like something Kentucky would try.
Yeah, for basketball for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Could be that everyone's doing it. A year from now, 2 years from now, it could be that everyone's doing it, or it could be that no one's doing it. But there seems to be pushback out there. But I won't be shocked if LSU ends up being the forerunner here, and everyone follows their lead if it works out well.
Yeah, if they win games, people are going to do it because it's a copycat league.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Everybody likes to have an influx of cash to be able to go spend money on NIL, and then the Protect College Sports Act is supposed to come down the line to stop all of that, though. So I wonder, how does that coincide with each other going forward? It's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks, especially because the Protect College Sports Act is now supposedly going to get voted on, hopefully, to save everybody because of that sweeping deal with the Colorado judge last Friday that said that anybody from the class of 2022 can now return to college football. Before we get out of here, y'all got any players that y'all want to come back from the 2022 class that did not get to an NFL team that y'all want to come back?
Like for our school specifically?
Yeah, for your school specifically.
I specifically don't want anybody back. I specifically want 0 people. That's my request. I'm cool on it. Appreciate
If you had a player that signed in 2022 that's not under contract in the NFL, I'm not sure why you would think this is someone that could help your SEC team win a national championship.
Yeah.
I'm also just so confused with what kind of impact are they really going to make for schools like Florida? It's like we're a completely different coaching staff, different scheme at this point. How much are you really going to step in at the start of fall camp, come in and learn the playbook and actually go out there and execute it enough to contribute right here?
Maybe somebody you add to the bottom of the roster, maybe a 105 guy that can help you practice, that knows the offense, that knows the defense, that can provide some leadership. But in terms of making a real difference in starting 22, if they're that old and not in the NFL, I don't really see the value. The huge value to me comes in sports like softball, gymnastics, some of the women's sports, women's basketball, maybe baseball,
individual stuff.
Guys, athletes that aren't playing pro sports that still have eligibility. I think it could be huge for those type squads.
There's a good chance that next season Ole Miss gets Judd Utermark back and Will Furness for their baseball team because of this, and that's a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal, but. Football is not going to do anything. Basketball is a chaos disaster area because of the short window of what's going on. That's probably what you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask Brandon on that one. Basketball wise, that may be an opportunity, but I agree on football. Whole new staff, that doesn't make sense. You guys, Kentucky, it's maybe Auburn because they still have DJ Durkin in defense. Maybe a defensive guy will come, but yeah, for the most part, it does not make any sense to want to get somebody back, especially like you said, Jimmy. If they're not in a camp right now in the NFL, do you really want them back?
No, because they're probably going to demand more. They're probably going to demand more money than they were getting in the NFL just to come do it.
Yep, and those players aren't even eligible if they sign into a contract.
Then
that's another one.
You got to jump through those hoops.
Yeah, there's something happened at in Georgia yesterday, like late in the afternoon, that took the Colorado ruling and put it on steroids, potentially. So there's a whole mess coming down the line. It's probably best that we just ignore it, close our eyes, and hope.
Can't wait.
Just pretend like it did not happen. I'm totally here for that. Well, we'll wrap this up here on the Squad Show. Thank you all for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to every single one of these shows wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube, and hit that like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you'll miss a single episode whenever they drop. So for Corey, Steven, Jimmy, and Brandon, I am Jay. We will see all of you next week because guess what? Fall camp is here.